Hello, welcome to Cybercoach. My name is Mark, I'm one of the lead consultants here. Thank you for joining me in this introduction to security awareness training. Now you might be thinking, why am I here? What's it all about? Well, let me give you just a couple of interesting statistics about cybersecurity and why it matters to people like you. Well, first of all, here's a quote from Ginny Rometty. Now, Ginny runs IBM, one of the biggest IT companies in the world. She says that cybercrime is the greatest threat to every company in the world. Now, you might be tempted to think, well, of course she would say that, wouldn't she? She sells cybersecurity software and services and all that kind of stuff. But she's not alone in saying this. During 2021, the UK government did a survey of UK businesses, and they discovered that 40% of UK businesses suffered a cyber attack of some sort in 2021. And don't forget, this is 40% of the people who bothered to respond to the survey. The real number is probably a lot higher. And more than that, a quarter of businesses in the UK say they experience a cyber attack every single week of the year. And of those, a quarter of businesses said they'd actually lost money. They'd lost money in 2021 as a result of a cyber attack. So that's that's something that we need to pay attention to, really. So just to give you an insight about what is going on in cyberspace every second of the day, I've got a little video here. So this is a real-time map of cyber attacks going on right now as we're talking. And I don't know if you can just see the little number there at the top of the screen. Let me just make it bigger for you. We're 17 million, almost 18 million cyber attacks just today so far, and you can see them, where they're coming from in the world, who they're attacking in the world. And this is just those cyber attacks that have been detected by one particular brand of cybersecurity software from a company called Checkpoint. If you were to look at a different company, you'll see similar numbers. So this is just a small percentage, a small fraction of the cyber attacks going on every minute of the day, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. Let me tell you a story. A year or two ago, I had a really interesting encounter. I'll call it interesting, you'll find out why. A really interesting, with a young policewoman. She said to me, she just came right out and said it. She was very polite, but she said, "Hey, excuse me, sir, have you got any weapons on you today?" Weapons, I said. No, I was kind of flabbergasted. I don't know about you, but the kind of sheltered middle class life that I've led, I've never before been asked, am I carrying any weapons? But she said, "Have you got any weapons on you today, sir?" And I said, "No, I haven't." She said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I'm sure." She said, "Do you mind if I look inside your bag?" So, "Of course not," I said. So she grabbed my bag, she put it on a little desk, and she rummaged around inside. And it took her all of 5 seconds to come out holding this little red penknife. "Is this yours, sir?" she said. Well, there was no point in denying it was mine. It had been in my bag, and it does have my name engraved in big silver letters on the back. So, yes, caught red-handed, as they say. So it was turning into one of those good news, bad news kind of a days, really. The good news is that my beloved little red Swiss Army knife, my mammy bought this for me when I was 11 or 12 years old. I thought it had been lost, but now it had been found. The bad news is it was found at the security checkpoint on the way into the Houses of Parliament. So there I stood, looking at the policewoman holding my penknife in the entrance lobby of the Houses of Parliament. She was still smiling. The same couldn't be said for her two friends stood behind her with the Heckler & Koch submachine guns. I wasn't sure what was going to happen next. Was I going to get arrested? Were they going to come diving over the barrier and wrestle me to the ground and point a gun in my head? Shall we shoot them? I don't know. Let's make it up as we go along. No. But what I didn't expect to happen was for her to reach under the counter and come out with a pad of paper and start writing on it. She ripped off the top sheet and said, "Here you are, sir. Here's a receipt for your property. Go and have your meeting. and you can pick up your things on the way home. I'm not sure what surprised me most. The fact that I've been caught trying to smuggle a weapon into the Houses of Parliament, or the fact that it clearly happens so often, the police have this well-oiled process to give people a receipt to pick them up again on the way home. You see, when a crisis hits, it's too late to prepare. What you need is a well-oiled process so that everyone knows what to do. They don't need to make it up on the spur of the moment. They don't need to make it up as they go along. Just think what happens in your office or in your school when the fire alarm goes off. Right? Everybody knows what to do. They get up out of their seats. They walk to the fire escape. They wander down the fire escape. They go outside into the car park or the playground. They line up where they're supposed to line up, and everybody gets out safe. And they just hang around waiting for the firemen to turn up, and because everybody loves to watch firemen, right? But everybody knows what to do. And everybody knows what to do because on a day when there was no fire, on a day when there was no excitement, someone sat down and worked out the process that was going to be followed. Because they knew that when a crisis hits, when the fire alarm goes off, when you smell smoke, it's too late to try and work out how you're going to respond. You already need to have that well-oiled process. You need to know what to do when you smell smoke. And it's exactly the same with cybersecurity and cyber fraud. When it happens, it's too late to try and work out what you're going to do about it. When you smell smoke, when you suspect that something might be happening, you need to know what to do already. Okay? And that's the point of this security awareness training. To teach you what to do when there's a cybercrime fire. To teach you what to do when you smell cybercrime smoke. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So to give this a kind of a bit of context, let me introduce you to Vlad. Now, Vlad is a young man who lives at home with his mum. You might think he's a nice boy. He's not a nice boy. Okay, Vlad is a cyber criminal. And of all the wonderful things that the internet has given us, one of the bad side effects has been it's like we've given all of the world's criminals free airplane tickets. You know, when I was growing up, and the crime I would worry about, when my wife and I first got married, the crime that we worried about was, is someone going to try and break into our house and steal our stuff? Is someone going to smash a window on my car and steal my car stereo? But the truth is that people stealing your stuff physically, coming to your house, coming to your car, coming to your office, that type of crime in the UK is absolutely gone down in real terms. Why? Because now Vlad could be sat in his pants in his mum's basement in Moscow and come and steal from you. To steal from you in your home, to steal from you in your place of work, to extort you, to try and make you a victim of crime. So what I want to do is just take you through some of the ways that Vlad is going to try and steal your stuff. Because if you're a criminal, and most criminals are pretty lazy, they just want to, what's the lowest risk, easiest way to earn lots of money? And these days, cybercrime is the answer. You don't even need to bother getting dressed. You don't even have to go outside. And the chances of being caught are very, very low. If someone steals £1,000 from your living room, you can get in contact with the local police. They can say, right, okay, so someone came to a house at this time, we'll check the CCTV, we'll work out who we know behaves in that kind of a way. If someone steals £1,000 from you through cybercrime, that criminal could be in a different country. And the chances of them getting caught are very, very low. But the thing is, cyber criminals, criminals who use computers, that's all it means, cyber criminals. Criminals who use computers, they're just like any other criminal. All they want to do is get hold of your money or get hold of your stuff so they can sell it in order to get the money that comes as a result. And just like any other criminal, Vlad has basically 3 tools in his toolkit that he wants to use to try and steal your money, to try and get hold of your stuff. Right? He's just going to do it outright and steal it. He's going to try and extort you, he's going to blackmail you, or he's going to try and commit some kind of fraud where he tricks you into giving him your money because you think you're giving it to someone else. Now here's a picture of a little bit of the armour of Henry VIII. Yeah, Henry VIII's field plate armour. It is the most valuable artefact owned by the British state. If you want to go and see it, you can see it in the Royal Armouries Museum. It's said to be worth something in the region of £53 million. So if you were going to go and break into a museum and steal something, this is something worth stealing, right? £53 million. Not bad pay for a night's work. But if you think about what you would need to do to break into a museum in order to steal something valuable, well, basically you would need to kind of get hold of some keys so you can get through the doors, right? So let yourself into the building when everyone else has gone home. Or you need some kind of a back door or a tunnel so you can get past all the security so you get free access. Does that make sense? Cool. So what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is just talk you through what are the keys and what are the back doors. Well, welcome back. Let's talk about passwords. Passwords, okay. Oh, do you like passwords? Do you remember your first password? Yeah, when you had the same password you would use at home and at work and at school to log on to your computer, to log on to Amazon, to read your emails. Those days were simple, weren't they? Those were the good old days of passwords. And then the website started popping up and saying, oh, that password isn't valid anymore. You need to have a number inside your password. And you say, oh, a number inside my password? What am I going to do? Oh, and I bet you did what I did and what everyone else did. You put the number 1 at the end of your everyday password, right? Those days, sadly, are gone. Because passwords these days, well, put it this way, 81% of all successful cyber attacks involve using a stolen password or login details. In fact, the only people who love passwords are hackers, because if a hacker can get hold of your password, if Vlad can get hold of your password, yeah, he's got the keys to your life. Because that's the thing, passwords are the keys to your life. Think about it this way. Imagine if all the keys that you had were the same key. Yeah, you could use the same key to get into your car and drive it. The same key to unlock the garage where you keep your car. The same key could unlock your house. The same key could unlock your office. The same key can unlock the desk that's in your office and the safe that you keep in your office. The same key could allow you to get into the gym, to open the locker in the gym. Imagine if the same key could be used everywhere. Wouldn't life be simple? You go down the allotment and there's your little shed with some your tools in it. You use the same key. How simple is that? No worrying, which key do I need? Life would be simple until you lost that key. You might think, I've only lost the key to my allotment shed. It's not too bad. I've lost the key to the locker that I use at the gym. Not a problem. But the same key can be used to get into your car, drive it away. The same key can be used to get into your office, to get into your computer. The same key can be used to get into the storeroom and steal all the stock that your business owns. Oh, well, that's a bit more serious. And your passwords are like the keys to your life. And the problem with using the same password everywhere, if Vlad gets hold of it, he can get into lots and lots and lots of things. Whereas it would be better if he couldn't. Think about that museum again. Here's a little picture of a museum. And a museum has got lots of different floors and lots of different rooms, right? Now imagine if, when you went to the museum, all the doors opened with the same one key. And so if you could get in with that one key, you could get to every single display case and open every single thing and walk out with anything you liked, just if you had one key. You'd think, well, that's not very good security, is it? No, if you went into a museum, you'd find that every single door between every single floor had a different key. So you could control who's allowed to go into which room when the museum's not open. And it's exactly the same idea when it comes to keeping your network safe, keeping your cyber life safe. Having a different key on everything that you have means if Vlad gets hold of one of them, he doesn't get access to everything. Just because he gets hold of your Amazon password doesn't mean he can get hold of your email as well. Doesn't mean he can get into your bank as well. Just because he gets hold of the password that you set one random day because you were a member of the I Love Minis fan club website. You might think, oh, well, what's so important? But if you use the same password for the I Love Minis website or the I Love Doris Day website, those websites probably aren't very secure, right? They haven't got lots of money. So Vlad's much more likely to be able to hack into them and steal all their passwords. Then what does he do? He doesn't sit and type in all these passwords to Amazon or HSBC Bank to see which ones work. He's got a computer program that will test millions of password and username combinations in a couple of seconds. So it's no effort for him. He just goes and buys these passwords and usernames on the dark web for a couple of pounds for a few thousand. That's why you need different passwords everywhere. So if one key gets lost, you don't lose access to your entire life. But when it comes to picking passwords, how do you pick one that is easy for you to remember, easy for you to type in, but still nice and secure? Well, let me tell you the recommendation for the UK's National Cyber Security Centre. This is part of GCHQ, the UK government, and this is their official guidance on how to keep yourself safe. And it's called 3 random words, and it works something like this. First of all, you want to pick a word, any word that's at least 4 letters long. Let's go for, I don't know, lunch, right? So you pick the word lunch, and now pick 2 more words that are at least 4 letters long. Then join them together with a symbol like a hyphen or a number. So you can end up with something that could be lunch wallop dresser. Yeah, lunch wallop dresser. Well, imagine having to type that in, lunch wallop dresser. You could type that in on your phone, couldn't you? You could remember it. If I was to ask you in 10 minutes' time, what was that password we came up with on the training, you'd say lunch wallop dresser. Human brains are good at remembering things on that. But you might be thinking, well, but that's not the passwords I've been told to use. I normally have to use things with exclamation marks and symbols and numbers and uppercase and lowercase. I mean, it looks like a Beano character is swearing at you. He's got in fact, something a bit like this. There's a website called How Secure Is My Password, and you could type in one of these really complicated passwords. There's an example right there on the screen. The sort of password that we think we're supposed to use all the time. And what this website does is that it calculates if you were to try and use all the different password combinations from AAAA through to BBBB through to ZZZZ, yeah? How long would it take for Vlad's computer program to guess your password if he was trying all the combinations? And you can see that one is it would take about 5 years. You might think that's pretty strong, right? But what about lunch wallop dresser? Is that more or less secure than the Beano swearing gibberish? Well, how about 100 trillion years, right? It's a much stronger password. Now, why is that? Because length trumps complexity. Yeah, lunch wallop dresser, it's more than 20 characters long. But actually, it's pretty easy to remember, isn't it? So when it comes to picking a nice secure password that's easy for you to remember, easy for you to type in on your phone or on your computer, 3 random words joined together with a symbol is a really good technique. Now, it might be that some websites still are going to try and force you to say, oh, you must have a number, you must have uppercase and lowercase. Well, you can still use this approach. What you would do is just make one of those words all uppercase, the other words all lowercase. Replace one of those symbols with a number, but it's still easy to remember. It will be lunch, dash, wallop, zero, dresser, all in uppercase. Still much easier to remember, still easier to type in. Now, it's easy to kind of get your knickers in a twist when it comes to passwords, but actually the truth is passwords are a bit like pants. Let me explain. It goes like this. First of all, passwords are like pants because you shouldn't share them with other people, right? You wouldn't share your pants with someone at work, so you shouldn't share your passwords either. One of the reasons why you get given a different password, so everyone at work gets a different password, is one of the things the password does is prove who was it who went and changed those numbers in the account system. If you're all sharing the same password, you're sharing the same login details, you lose that sense of accountability and you can start getting blamed for someone else's mistakes. So don't share your passwords, keep them private, just like your pants. Secondly, you shouldn't show your passwords to other people, just like you shouldn't show your pants to other people, right? In fact, if you don't know someone well enough to show them your pants, you don't know them well enough to show them your password. And finally, passwords like pants because you shouldn't keep on reusing them. Yeah, we talked earlier about the dangers of using the same password, the same key, to let you into lots of different websites. Yeah, don't keep reusing the same password more than once. Just like you don't keep reusing your pants, I hope. But there is one way that pants and passwords are not the same. Yeah, your pants should be changed regularly, but not your password. Now, this is one of those things that a few years ago, this advice would have been quite different. But as we've understand better the risks that come in the world of cybersecurity, we've realised that if you keep asking people to change their password every month, what do? They come up with passwords that are easy for them to remember, which means they're easy for Vlad to guess and hack when he goes A, B, 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 and tries all the combinations. Actually, now the best guidance from the people who really understand this stuff at the NCSC is to say there's no need to change your password regularly unless you suspect that someone has learned what it is. So if you get an email or you see something in the news that say such and such a website has been hacked or breached or had their data stolen, change your password for that website. Or if you've been typing your password in on the train or in a bar and you think someone was looking over your shoulder, change that password. But otherwise you don't need to do it regularly, every month or every 90 days or anything like that. It's completely unnecessary. So, okay, you can come up with a password that's easy for you to remember, but if you've got lots of them because you need a different key for every area of your life, then how on earth are you going to remember all of those passwords? The average person has 20 or 30 passwords. Yeah, in business, it could be as high as 80 different passwords that you have to remember, and no person can remember that many. So, use a password manager. When you're talking about at home in your family life, your browser, if you're using an up-to-date computer like Windows 10, Windows 11, Mac, an up-to-date iPhone or something like that, when the browser says, would you like me to remember this password when you type it in, say yes, because they keep those passwords nice and secure. And that way it makes it easy for you to remember. In fact, you don't even need to remember the password, because when you're on your computer, it will fill it in for you. Now you might say, well, what if my phone or computer gets stolen? Well, yes, that would be a risk, which is why you have a password to get into your computer, or you have a Face ID or a fingerprint reader to get into your phone. So if someone steals your phone, then they can't get access to all your passwords that are saved on it. And that one password you type into your computer to get in, that can be your lunch wallop dresser. That nice long password that's easy for you to remember, hard for Vlad to crack. And once you get in, then your browser can remember all of your passwords. Or there's a thing called a password manager, which is an app you can get. Generally, you have to pay for them. They're about £50 a year, most of them. But what's good about Password Manager is that everyone in your family can use the same password manager, which means you have access to each other's passwords. Now, for me, I think that's a great idea. That means if something was to happen to me, my wife has access to all of the passwords she needs to get into my systems, to log into the bank and all of that kind of stuff. And we can help each other out. So it's a good way of managing access to all your stuff if you're ever in hospital, you're unwell, or even if the worst thing happens and death and taxes finally catch up to you. So use a password manager or let the browser remember the different password that you're setting in all these different websites. In fact, if you're using a password manager or some of the browsers themselves, they will suggest a nice complicated password that you're never ever going to have to type in, because it will always type it in for you. And just say, use that suggested password. It's nice and long. It will keep it nice and secure. Happy days for you. So now you're only remembering maybe one or two passwords. The password to get into your computer and the password that opens the Password Manager app, if that's the way that you decided to go. Now there's one other thing you can do that makes your password security, that keeps your keys even more safe. And it's something called two-factor authentication. And more websites are offering this now. And you may have seen it offered to you, not knowing what it is. So let me just quickly explain. But the reason why people say you should use two-factor authentication is it reduces the threat of your password being stolen by 99.9%. So it pretty much means if someone steals your keys, they are useless to them. So let me explain how it works. When you log on to a website, and here's a screenshot of where I'm just logging on to one of the systems I have for the business, you type in your username, you type in your password, and then it says, you need to do something else. This is the so-called second factor. It might be a little dongle that you've been given by your bank, and it gives you a number that changes every 10 seconds. You type that in. Or it might be a text message that comes to your phone. Or it might be an app that you have that pops up. I use an app. I use a thing called Microsoft Authenticator, which is free. And when I try and log on, it pops up a little message like this on my phone. The blue screen is the screen of my phone. It just says, you trying to log in? Click yes or no. Now, if I'm trying to log in, it's fine. I've got my phone with me. I just click yes. But if somehow Vlad had managed to get hold of the password for my system, when he tried to log in, my phone would bleep and say, are you trying to log in? And I'll just say, no, I'm not. What's going on? Someone's trying to log in. They've guessed what my password is. I'll just say, no. Vlad's log on would fail. Yeah, because to be able to log in, he now needs to know my password and he needs to have my phone. And not only my phone, because my phone is locked. You need to have my phone and my face to unlock my phone to be able to approve the login request on the app. So you see how it makes it all much more secure. So what are the two-factor authentication systems that you can have? Well, the good news is most of these things are completely free. The two main ones, there's Microsoft's and Google's, and they're literally called Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator. They're pretty much as good as each other. If you've already got one that you're using, there's probably no reason to change, unless you do an awful lot of stuff in the Microsoft world. So if you've got Office 365 at work, for example, if you're logging onto SharePoint sites, you're using Microsoft Exchange for your emails at work, for example, then using Authenticator gives you, Microsoft Authenticator gives you a few more features that makes life a bit easier still. Okay, so if you live in a very Microsoft world, maybe you've got an Outlook.com email account, then pick Microsoft Authenticator because it just works more smoothly between them all. Or you can use the Google Authenticator, and they're fairly easy to set up, and it just guides you through. So I'm not going to kind of take you through how to do that now because it varies slightly based on the type of account you've got, but the app guides you through. It gives you very clear instructions to follow. So you've got your laptop, you've got your phone, and it tells you exactly what to do when you set it up. When it comes to password managers, there are, like I said, a number of different ones available. Personally, the two that I have used, and so there I can talk about them, I use 1Password and I use LastPass. They are both pretty good. My personal preference is LastPass. It seems to play better in a Mac and Windows world, which is kind of where I live in, and it works for the whole family to be able to share some passwords but not share others. So it works quite well. So those are some kind of practical recommendations for you. Well, that brings our short module on passwords to an end. I hope you found it useful. As always, if you've got any questions or queries, then feel free to get in contact. The details are on the screen.